Today we're going to make a video on how to repair a pump on my Summer Escapes 16-foot pool. Now, the way this pump fits on the housing is it just inserts under there, and then down through the housing you have this little collar that fits on there. In the past we've had problems with trying to get a Summer Escapes filter on there because it was too tight, and then when you tried wiggling it to get it off, the darn collar would come loose. It only takes just a couple of degrees to lock it or unlock it, and then the pump would fall off. So we went to a Coleman AC type filter, which really worked good. It fit everything, and the basket fit on there perfectly. The problem is, as long as there's water flowing through this basket, it pulls it down and it seals tight. But if you turn the pump off for any reason, like to listen to music while you're swimming, or to vacuum the pool, or whatever reason you turn the pump off, this basket is lighter than water. It will float. To show you exactly what I'm talking about, if that pump was turned off, that basket would float up, turn sideways, and block the skimmer door, which means two things could happen. Number one, the door won't open fully, which means if you have a 1,500 gallon per hour pump like I have, it's going to drain this housing of water and the pump will be running dry. Secondly, anything that was in that basket when that thing's cocked will spill out and go right down the middle of that filter into the pump. And this pump has impellers in there, and if it's a twig or something like that, a big seed, we're underneath the trees here, it could block that impeller and break something, and I think that's what's happened. We're going to try and fix it today. This pump just consists of a few pieces. It's got the collar that locks it onto the housing, and then it's got what I call the pump head. Just comes right off. There's 6 little places for Phillips head screws. When you look at it, you'll see the shiny screw heads. Real easy to unscrew those, and once they're unscrewed, you can remove it. There's also a gasket to help keep things waterproof. But this is the problem. This is a magnet that fits into this hole, and I'm assuming that this is part of the motor. That magnet will spin. Today when I checked it, the impeller was spinning freely, and I don't know if that's a safety feature, you know, in case somebody puts their finger in there or something, that the clutch automatically allows it to spin freely. But anyhow, it ain't working. So what I did was take some Gorilla Glue and glue this impeller tight onto the magnet. And that's what we're going to see if it works today or not. Now, since this is an electric motor, I'm sure there's not very much tolerance on this magnet that fits into the hole. And it looks like a little bit of glue inched down onto it. I may have to get some sandpaper and sand that smooth, but we're going to try it. And by the way, this magnet is very powerful. When you go to put it in there, it'll snatch it out of your hand. First thing we're going to do is take the alignment shaft, put that back on there. It's got a little rubber cap on it, similar to that, to help make it waterproof. Here it goes. Guess you saw how hard that thing did. Okay, we're going to take a break here. I'm going to plug this thing in and see if that impeller turns. All right, I've got the impeller situated on the magnet. The magnet's inside the motor, and I'm going to give it some electricity. Whoa. I don't know what happened. It looks like the glue did not hold. Thing is moving free again. Story of my life. Okay, we go to plan B, which is probably going to be throw this thing in the trash. But we'll take it apart and see what happens. I got a feeling the Gorilla Glue did not hold on this polypropylene impeller. It's not recommended for that. Go back to the, put the thinking cap back on. Be back later. So I took a pair of pliers and I pulled this impeller away from the magnet real hard, and it seemed like it tightened up. I think the solution might be to get some sort of U-shaped clip to put a spacer between the impeller and the magnet. But we're going to try this the way it is and see if it holds. Okay, the rest of it's going to be just putting the screws back in. So after I get the screws in, we'll turn the camera back on and see what happens. Well, as we said in the last clip, my attempt to repair this pump was an epic fail. So I'm going to tell you how to really fix it this time. The first thing you do is look at the bottom of your pump and get the model number, and then you can go right on Google, type in that part number, and it will take you to a site where you can order a new piece for it. In fact, all this time I've had this pump, I thought it was a 1,500 gallon per hour, but after I entered the model number, I found out it's a 2,000 gallon per hour. So if you've watched some of my previous YouTube videos about pump repair, just go ahead and make the adjustment. That was not a 1,500 gallon pump, 2,000. Okay, well, this would be a good opportunity to see how to take one of these things apart. Taking this pump apart is really pretty easy. There are 6 Phillips head screws around the top of it, and all you do is unscrew these things. And I'm not going to waste a whole lot of film having you watch me take out 6 screws, but they're just small little sheet metal screws. All right, we'll come back in just a minute when I've got the top. We've removed the 6 Phillips head screws from the head of the pump. Just give it a slight wiggle, and it will lift right up off these shafts. This is the impeller. This is the piece I tried to repair the other day, and it was an epic fail. I'm going to remove this gasket. I don't know if it's important to remember which side was up and which side was down, but just in case, I'm going to set it down the way it came off. Okay, when you go to remove this impeller, it's a little tricky because there's a strong magnet holding it in. Wow, it's kind of noisy out here. Sounds like a motorcycle. To remove this, if you don't want to break your pretty fingernails, just take a pair of pliers, grab hold of one of the fins, and pull. That is a very strong magnet. We're going to have fun with that. We dropped a screw the other day. Look at that. That is a good magnet. Yeah, this is the part I tried gluing back together, and so we just went ahead and ordered another one. Wow. You could exercise with these. I can't even hardly put them together. This is amazing. Yeah, I'm going to play with this and we'll come back and finish the repair in a minute. Gotta admit, that was a lot of fun. apparently the north and south pole on these magnets is on the side of the cylinder, and the way I had it a minute ago, it was hard to push my hands together. But I handed this to my granddaughter to experience it, and she must have got one of the poles the other direction because her fingers slammed together. And trust me, this is a lot of fun. All right, but back to business. We're going to insert the new assembly, and it includes the shaft, the little axle that everything rides on. I'm glad, because when I tried fixing this the other day, I broke the shaft. Okay. Whoa. We better cut till I bandage my thumb. Well, we got a cat helping us. Get your butt out of the way. I'm going to try and put this entire rocket ship in that hole. However, this shaft does come apart. You can just pull the caps off of it. And if I mess something up, then next time we'll know we should insert the shaft first, then put the assembly over the shaft and then cap it. But hopefully this will seat properly. I think not. Well, I can't tell. I knew if that was in there right or not. Okay, I'm going to try and put the head back on here, and hopefully that thing's in the right position. To put this thing back together, just reverse the procedure. We will ease this gasket on. I guess you could put the gasket on before you reinsert the assembly, but it doesn't matter. It's rubber. You can stretch it all different ways. Well, it does seem to have grown. Huh. All right, maybe it'll flatten out when I put the head on. And it looks like it's fitting tight, so we're going to assume that the magnet assembly went in there properly. Okay, my next step is to replace the screws. I've removed this filter housing because while we were waiting on the new pump part to come in, I went ahead and just temporarily put an old pump in there that I had, and it was a different size canister. But the assembly on both of these is the same. If you look very close here, you'll see that there's two little notches, one on each side of this housing, and it's critical that these two fins line up perfectly with that. There. You may have to get down on your hands and knees to do that, but if it's not, then when you go to put the cap on, the cap will not seat. It's touching. You'll know when that cap's on there at a turn, about a quarter of a turn, and that thing will be locked on there. So just remember, line up the fins of the pump with the slots on the bottom of your filter canister. All right, I think we're ready to go ahead and change canisters and change pumps and see if that new part works. Be back in a few minutes. Alrighty, we're going to try and install this pump back onto the filter housing. And like I said a minute ago, make sure these fins line up perfectly with the slot on the bottom of the can. And it's really frustrating because it's easy to miss it. But when it's right, you'll know it's pretty much 90 degrees from the drain spigot. Let's see if that's it or not. And it is. Got lucky. Sometimes that thing falls off. It will especially fall off if your filter, the hole in the filter is too small and you have a child changing the filter, they wiggle it around, the whole pump will fall off and the pool will start draining right out. So we've had a fire drill to know how to deal with that. Okay, we're going to put a little water in the pool, turn on the pump, and see if it works. On the pool to fill, and it won't take long. I think that pumps out about, it looks like about 40 gallons per minute. Let's talk about the Summer Escapes pool. This is a 16-foot diameter model, which I don't think they make anymore, but if you go to one of the discount stores like Walmart or Big Lots, I think they're now marketing it as a 17-foot diameter pool. Anyhow, it comes with a 1,000 gallon per hour external pump, which does a pretty fair job of cleaning the water. It will filter the water, but if you intend to do any vacuuming with your pump, it's not going to work. I've tried all different types of vacuums, and I ended up just spending $199 and upgrading my pump. I thought I had a 15 gallon per hour. Turns out it was a 2,000 gallon per hour, and it kicks butt. I'm not kidding you about that. It not only filters water excellently, but as you can see, my property is heavily forested, and you know, I get all kinds of trash in there. I get acorn caps and you name it. Everything that can fall off a tree, including dirt, will get in this pool. But with this 2,000 gallon per hour pump, no problem at all. It vacuums it right up. I believe it would vacuum up stones. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure it would. All right, won't be long. We'll be giving this thing a test. I want to make sure I have enough water in there where that pump doesn't run dry. It's such a powerful pump. It'll create a whirlpool in there if you don't have enough water over it. Be back in a minute. If for some reason your external pump on your Summer Escapes pool stops pumping, before you just assume the pump's burned out, I would take it apart. I showed you how easy that was. 6 little Phillips screws. Remove those and then pull this rotor mechanism out of it, and if these fins freely turn when you're holding on to that magnet, that's most likely your problem right there. And you can order a replacement one. For my pump, which is an F2000C, 2,000 gallon per hour, it was less than $30. Free shipping. I believe I ordered this Friday afternoon late here in the east, and it arrived Monday morning from Banning, California. That's just excellent service right there to have that thing shipped over a weekend. And unfortunately, when they sent it in the box, they didn't list the name of their company. I believe it was something like Summer Backyard, but I could be wrong about that. But anyhow, I would strongly advise you test that out before you buy a new pump. Water coming into the filter housing that we can test this pump. Moment of truth has arrived. Looks like I got a small drip there. It could be because this hose clamp is not tight enough, or possibly I need to put a little petroleum jelly on the collar that secures the pump to the housing. There's a little O-ring there, and if it gets dry it will leak a little bit. But some Vaseline on there should solve that problem. Let me walk over here to my electric, push the button. I hear the noise. I would say that thing is pumping like 100 horsepower. My goodness, that's better than it was before. You see that whirlpool in there? If I didn't have that much water in there, you'd be able to see right down into the pump itself. It'd just be hollow, a hollow hole. If a bug got caught in there, he'd probably get, that vortex is so strong, he'd probably get sent to another dimension. Well, that's how you fix a pump. I had some epic fails, but in the end, turned out great. Hope this is helpful to you.